Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the last 6 predictions that I made last week and how they've been and how accurate I've been. The answer is not as accurate as the League of Legends. In League of Legends, my lowest accuracy was a 2/3 right. Here it's not quite as good. To be fair, though, there've been some pretty unpredictable games. Start with APAC North. Damwon were just much better than Talon. Talon's droning was very ineffective against the Damwon roam. And they offered way too many untradeable kills. But both teams did take some dumb APAC-based fights, which was a bit weird. Well, I say a bit weird. It's predictable, but it's a bit sad, if I'm being wholly honest. Reject played Fav. This game was completely different to how I expected. Well, not completely, but like slightly different from how I expected. I expected this to be like fairly even, with Reject having improved and Fav not really having too much momentum and having struggled to close out some of the games they should have won, especially that first game against, I want to say Talon. I think it was against Talon. Um, but Reject looked much stronger. It was really basically Reject versus number two, and number two can't carry that hard. He can't 1v5. Fav lost way too many 1v1s. They made some weird selections on attack. Um, they did have the Eminem timeout, as it was being called. I know I've spelled Eminem wrong here. It was just for shortening it down. I'm very sorry if that's if you feel offended. Um, where they basically went, um, they won all their rounds consecutively after a timeout. And if you don't get the reference, you need to watch 8 Mile. 8 Mile? Is the name? Is that? I'm having a complete brain fart whether that's the name of the film or not. Fuck. Uh, I'm an idiot. We'll just leave it. But Reject were definitely the stronger team. Spear SBX. Well, Spear didn't get slaughtered like they should have done. SBX kept throwing away their lives, particularly on defense when rotating. But they did have very good clutch factors. Both teams are basically playing as if this was a 1v1 solo queue simulator. Yeah. Um, the next one's fairly embarrassing. So I didn't talk about this, but seeing the Cyclops thing is literally this bubble that was going to burst like any moment. If we go, wait, it's not on here. Okay, if we go Japan League and we go RJL, yeah, worse than Scars, worse than Fnatic, worse than Crest Gaming. They're not doing well. Like they beat Unsold Stuff Gaming, doing Unsold Stuff Gaming, but they're not doing well. Like they lost to Reject, they lost to Sengoku, who are a Challenge League team. Um, they lost to, well, they beat Exist and they lost to Fav, but like they lost to Sengoku pretty hard. But they're stepping up. But it's like it was a bubble that was always going to burst. I didn't find out about this until after the video. I wish I had. I'd have probably predicted against them just for the memes until they eventually lost. Fortunately, they lost before I could do that. In quite an embarrassing fashion. This is quite sad for the Japanese scene as a whole. Because it means that Korea should dominate. Because when your strongest team right now is Reject, Rejects are not strong. Like the teams they've beaten are Fnatic, who suck, and Fav not playing at their strongest. Like Fav are good, Fav aren't bad, but they're not playing well at the moment. Um, and they Reject could have beaten SBX, but it wasn't going to happen. So it's quite disconcerting for the Japanese scene. Like if I was to predict bottom four right now, it would be Spear, Fav, Fnatic, and one of Cyclops or Reject. So it's not looking good for Japan. Anyway, let's get on to NA. So there's a lot I wrote on NA. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch this game or these two, um, because of time difference. But it was definitely an interesting week. I really hard predicted against Xset, the Chinese FA of Rainbow Six, but they did do pretty well for themselves. They played fairly well, um, against TSM. Although Geo had problems the following day that meant he had to miss this game, which is why it doesn't count against Dark Zero. Because they didn't have a thing, they didn't have a player. I was considering like just counting it as me being wrong, um, but then I was like, if I count that as being wrong, do I count it as being right when it goes in my favor? Which you can argue is fair to do so, but I also think it's a bit like disingenuous and it sort of messes the predictions. I might add like a table where I do get it right or like I do include it. I might not. It doesn't affect too often, and I think it's a bit of a waste of time to include at the moment. If you guys disagree, feel free to tell me. Um, but for now, I'm not going to include it. Oh, I'm an idiot. I missed that. Um, so yeah, SSG, S Sonics. God, teams on border attacks on border are really cringe in every region right now. They don't do defaults properly. They don't clear properly. They attack really slowly and they just lose rounds. It's quite embarrassing to watch because it should be well known because you should have had previous seasons. But I don't know. XG Mirage was another game that I thought was kind of interesting. I actually just did not respect Mirage at all at the start, and Mirage started doing quite well. And one of the things I'd like to point out in this time is that Marmalade played her best game I think I've ever seen her play, um, which was good. But then OXG started playing and they slaughtered Mirage. Yeah, I also told everyone that PBE would be Space Station because it's just PBE, and it was the luck of the OT that won them the game as well. It was the side that you were on in OT, and the fact that OT is literally down to a bit of luck with the first kill, all that sort of thing. I don't really like OT. I wish they went back to the draws, to be honest with you, but I don't know. It's not my place to decide. And I'm sure there's equal number of people that think that it's way more exciting to have OT. Just not for me personally. Um, yeah, these last three games, I could have watched them in time theoretically, but I had watched the LJL and Apex South before this, and I had to catch up on these five games, and I lost a lot of momentum after watching the DZ TSM game when I realized that Geo wasn't there, and the frost ban against Charla made it impossible for TSM to win any rounds on defense because they're stupid. Um, so yeah, Gotcha didn't get any kills, so all my momentum from that, hoping for that to come, didn't come. It was like, yeah, it was a bit sad. And I can't tell you what happened in these two games. If I had to guess, I'd say that OXG actually did close out for once, and I did predict that there could have been an upset. So arguably, I will put it as orange, but I've counted it as a loss in my table, so it's not a big deal. Um, Wildcard PK. Why did I predict against fucking? Why did I go against Lunametal? Why did I go against my boy? Like I've always respected him as as a player, and now he's a coach, and I should have just predicted with him. Should have just gone with him. It looked like Knights understood the map way better than Wildcard. We do have to remember Vinny had some issues before and during the first round. He lost. He had to DC. He beat DDC'd in the first round, and it probably made him suffer throughout the rest of the game. Um, Chiefs Direwolves. What is it with Direwolves being unable to close out a game? They are really, really weird. Um, yeah. Gaimin, or as the caster said, Gamin, which really annoyed me because that makes no sense in the English pronunciation, and they're crypto bros, so they probably do want it to be pronounced Gamin and they're cringe. But I like Gaimin Gladiators players, so I'm glad I predicted them to win. Ape played really, really well. Um, Apex Alpha really does suit it does suit ape mentality though. IG Elevate. I'm not sure quite why I predicted IG to win. I don't know why I had faith in them. Probably just the fact that I'm a bit of a fanboy. Um, as I say, Border sucks. It's really annoying to watch. EU Brazil and CES, which I'll only do when they have all the Copper Elite regions mixing together will be the regions that I have on the right hand side in the same way if I have like LCL, LCO in League, where I don't watch too many games, but I predict some of them just for the fun of it when I feel like it. Yeah, as much as I am in the EU region, the EU region's fallen off a lot since I last watched it, and a lot of my favored players or teams are washed up now in EU. I don't enjoy watching it, so I won't do too many prediction videos on EU, or I won't watch too much EU. So yeah, that's it for today. If you like the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Um, yeah, if you watch to see more content, I will have a prediction video coming out later in the day. See ya.